Okay, the next question we'll be taking a look at from the AP-1 question set from CodingBat is scoresClump. So this one's a little confusing in the wording. What it's saying is that your method, scoresClump, is going to return true or false when it takes a look at an array. It's a sorted array, by the way. All the values should be in ascending order, so smallest to highest. And it's going to return true if it finds a group of three scores, three numbers that are within 2 of each other. So in other words, an example is 3, 4, 5. These numbers at most are 2 away, right? Between 3 and 4, that's 1 difference, right? Between 4 and 5, there's a difference of 1. Between 3 and 5, there's a difference of 2. So there's a clump of 3 that is, at most 2 away from each other. Another example here, this is not a clump of 3 because although 1 and 3 are 2 away and 3 and 5 are 2 away, 1 and 5 are 4 away. So that is not a clump. But the next group here is, this group of 3 is a clump that is at most different from 2, right? 3 to 5 is 2 away, 5 and 5 are 0 away, and 3 and 5 are 2 away. So at most we're 2 away. So that's the setup for this question. Basically, you're going to loop through this array, looking at groups or clumps, I guess, of 3 values. And if you find a clump that is following those constraints, it's at most 2 away from each other, then you can return true. And if you get to the end of the array, you return false. So there's the setup for the question. If you want to pause that, if that makes sense now, and go and code that out, then go for it. If you would like to see the answer, then follow along, or you could pause it right now and wait to see if you can try it. Okay, so I'm going to show the answer now. Scrolling down, I have my for loop here that is going to go from 0 to length minus 2. I am looking at groups of 3 always, so I don't want to go beyond the end of the array. So my index, so here's, for example, my last group, my last clump I'm going to look at is this one. So I want to be at most my I going to, 3 from the end. So it's less than and then minus 2, so that'll achieve that. If you prefer, you can do less than or equal to and then minus 3, and then this number actually implies the the clump size, which might be a little more easy to think about. I don't know. But I guess I'm going to do mine this way. There's no necessarily better or worse situation there. So here's the secret to this question. You know how I was explaining, like, oh, look at this 3 and 5. These are 2 away, these are 0 away, and these are 2 away. Well, it turns out all that really matters is this one and the difference between these two. And the reason is because this array is sorted. So if you look at the difference between here and here, if they're 2 away or less, then the difference between here and here is definitely going to be 2 or less, and the difference between here and here is definitely going to be 2 or less, right? Like, what other number could go here? A 3 or a 4, and that still will work out. So if these two work out, then you're basically good to go. And I don't know if I actually coded it that way. No, I did. Well, that's silly of me. Let's go and recode this. Basically, my if statement's going to take a look at, I think just this constraint here. Let's see if that works. So many parens. Just click go, and oh yeah, so much better. Just goes to show you that I bet you could go through all of your CodingBat questions, and if you take a look at it for the second time, be like, oh wait, I could have done this a lot simpler. It's actually a pretty good exercise. So here's a good example of me doing that. So here we go. There's actually all that matters is looking at the current one and then one of them that's 2 away and checking the difference there. And if that's less than or equal to 2, then you found a clump. So you can return true. And you can return right in the middle of this for loop because you found it. It doesn't matter if there's more down the road, down further in the array. Who cares? You found one. That's all that matters because that's what the question's all about. However, if you get to the end of the array, the end of the loop, and that means you haven't returned anything, then you can assume at this point that there are no clumps that satisfy the criteria, so you just automatically return false. Hey, there you go. I made my answer so much better. I'm glad I did that before I released the answer key. Thanks, everybody.